Hello everyone, welcome to Ride Review. My name is Tyson and today we are doing a long-term review of the Ryvid Anthem. This is the flagship electric motorcycle from Ryvid, a California-based company who has since released another model called the Outset that is more or less the same platform with a few differences. The seat's different, there's no seat actuator for adjusting it. It's more designed for like kind of dual sport mix of street and off-road riding. This one, the Anthem, this is the city commuter electric motorcycle. Now I have owned this bike for about 6 months and put just under 1,200 miles on it in that time. So this is easily the most in-depth review that I'm done, which I'm pretty excited about. Now if you are not familiar with the Ryvid Anthem at all, you might want to check out my initial review, which you can find linked in the description below. I go into more detail of just the bike and the components and what it's all about there. This video is focused on my experience as an owner. How's it been riding the Anthem all of these months? What do I love? What do I not love so much? Let's get into it. Right off the bat, something I loved about this bike from the get-go is the design, the visual appearance. This is just such a beautiful machine. It's sleek, it's futuristic without being too over the top about it. It's got kind of this rugged vibe to it. Very definitely electric. This is really a head turner, and I'll have, in traffic all the time, people will roll down their windows and be like, whoa, what is that? Hey, is that electric? And they want to talk to me about it. If I'm at, coffee shops or restaurants or something, people want to come up and ask questions about it. They're super curious and just so excited to, see electric motorcycles out and about in the wild. So I think Ryvid really did a good job just with the overall design of this bike, and that goes into more than just aesthetics. It is very well built, very durable. I mean, in all of these miles I've been riding it, haven't had a single issue. It's so easy to jump on and ride. You just, turn it on and go. The only minor issues I've had have been related to the seat actuator, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video, but when it comes to just general operating performance, etc., it's been absolutely flawless. And you can, when you ride this thing, you can tell that the designers and engineers over at Ryvid have extensive motorcycle experience, because this thing, it sounds kind of silly to say it this way, but it rides like a motorcycle. This is the most common comment I get from everyone who has demoed and test ridden this bike, is to say, oh wow, this is just like a regular motorcycle. Very easy to drive, excellent handling. And I think the reason a lot of people say that is, especially with electric motorcycles, there's a lot of bikes out there that they're built by companies that maybe have a lot of electronics expertise, but not so much motorcycle expertise. And so, when you get on it, you can tell just something feels different about the handling and the way it operates and everything that is different than a standard motorcycle. Takes some getting used to. Not so with the Anthem. It's incredibly easy to ride, incredibly stable at high speed too. That's definitely a standout thing for me. I can get this thing up to 75, 80 miles per hour. No noticeable vibration in the handlebars, just rock solid smooth. That's one of the reasons why I think this would make an excellent beginner bike, because it's easy to drive. You don't have to worry about a clutch and shifting. It's pretty lightweight and nimble, so it'd be a solid choice if you're looking for your first motorcycle. The relatively small size and just very nimble handling of it makes it, it's easy to lane split and lane filter. It's very easy to park, pretty much anywhere. I don't really feel bad about, parking it up on the sidewalk, maybe out of the way by a bike rack, because it doesn't take up a whole lot of space, and it's not loud. The silence of the electric drive system, definitely a perk. You can hear it a little bit as it goes past, but it's about on the order of like a quiet electric bicycle, if that. And so your neighbors are going to love it. You're not going to be waking them up if you are leaving early or coming home at late hours of the night. That can be a little bit of a trade-off, because cars aren't going to hear you, and so you have to be maybe a little bit extra careful, just to make sure that people can see you, don't ride in somebody's blind spot, etc. But that's a good practice regardless of what motorcycle you're riding. Now, for me personally, one of the big selling points for the Anthem is, I think, Ryvid the Company. I love everything about how these guys run the company, how they make their products. I talked about how this is an incredibly durable, well-designed motorcycle at its core. They use excellent quality components. It's built well. It holds up well over time, and Ryvid supports it really well. Their support team is awesome. I've had a few exchanges with them when I've been working on my seat actuator thing, and then when they had a battery firmware update that had to go out for all their bikes, they actually sent techs out to fly out to different cities and go around and update everyone's bikes, since they didn't have the over-the-air feature in them yet. that was really awesome for me. The fact that they like went to that effort to make it happen instead of making their customers, you know, drive to some faraway place to meet with them. They took the initiative, got it done for everybody. Their support team tends to, you know, be very quick and responsive for support tickets. And also just kind of an above and beyond thing that I noticed is that they're very active on just like community forum type places for Anthem riders. You know, the biggest one I've noticed is on Reddit. If there's somebody on there that has, you know, any kind of a problem, there's a representative from the company that will respond within a day to like check in with them, you know, see if they put in a support ticket yet, make sure that they're getting the help that they need. So you get the sense that they are very actively engaged in making sure that their customers are happy, making sure that their products are holding up over the long term. And another bonus point for them, you know, Ryvid moved all of their production and everything to California. And once they, you know, really got up and running with the production of the Anthem, they actually dropped the price by a significant amount. You know, after the kind of pre-sale, pre-order special stuff, it was priced at $9,800. That's since dropped down all the way to $6,500, or just $6,000 if you're looking at the outset instead of the Anthem, which is a huge drop. And the fact that you know, Ryvid made the choice to like, hey, we're going to pass these savings on to our customers instead of just keeping all this extra profit for ourselves, I feel like that's a pretty huge point in their favor. And another really nice feature on the Anthem, of course, is the removable battery. We're not going to remove it today. You know, there's tons of videos out there demonstrating the removal process, but you know, it takes about 30 seconds to a minute to get it removed from the bike. Same to reinstall it. There are wheels on the bottom for rolling it around. There's a little trolley handle that pops up so that you can maneuver it. And, you know, it does still weigh 80 pounds, so it's not super easy. But, you know, if you need to carry this into your house, maybe you live in an apartment and you don't have a garage where you can charge the Anthem easily, so you gotta, you know, bring the battery inside, you can do it. You know, I've done that a lot because I live in an apartment, at least until I, you know, got smart, and now I just run an extension cord out over my balcony and charge it right underneath there. But you know, I'll definitely be bringing the battery inside during the winter just to protect it from the elements. So I'd like that it is still, you know, as easy as it can be to move it around. And then one more thing, this kind of falls into the category of just things that Ryvid as a company is doing well, is the availability of repair manuals and replacement parts, and the encouragement for, you know, modding and user repairs that Ryvid is supporting for the Anthem. And so if you, you know, if you need any replacement parts, they have this awesome interactive 3D parts catalog, so you can get any of the parts that you would need for the Anthem on their website. They have detailed guides and videos for, you know, how you do different, you know, how you take the seat off, how you remove the seat actuator, how you do different kinds of maintenance and repair on it, how you upgrade the controller if you get the ASI controller. They've gone to a lot of trouble to make sure that people can work on this bike themselves, and they fully support you not only repairing it yourself, but also modifying it yourself. You want to, you know, put on some, you know, mod out, you know, put on some new mirrors has been a popular one. Maybe swap out the body plates for some different colors, or even something that you 3D print yourself. They are fully in support of that, and that is pretty stark contrast to some other electric motorcycle brands out there. We're not going to name names here, but there's other companies that have gone more of a proprietary route, where any work you need to get done has to be done at a dealer, otherwise you're going to avoid the warranty. They have all these proprietary parts that you probably couldn't find anywhere else or replace yourself anyways. You know, lockdown software that's kind of part of the bike that, you know, they control different features on it that you have to pay for. Like, there's a lot of companies that are doing this in a not great way. Ryvid, on the other hand, is like, hey, you own this bike, do whatever you want with it. We fully support you. Here's all the tools and information you need to, you know, really customize it and make it your dream bike. Okay, so now we are going to switch gears, and we're going to talk about the stuff that I don't love about the Anthem. Now, some of this stuff is kind of nitpicks, and a lot of it's more just use case than anything else. But you know, it's not going to be the perfect bike for everybody. Now, I think the biggest drawback for the Anthem is really the range and just performance of the battery in general. And a lot of this is just a general limitation of electric motorcycles compared to gas motorcycles. Now, for the Anthem, you can get, you know, they say up to 75 miles of range on their website, which, you know, is doable if you're riding in eco mode and you're not going very fast. The speed is what really eats it up. If you are riding at highway speeds, you know, like 60, 70 miles per hour, you are just going to chew through that battery and, you know, maybe 30, 35 miles of range. And, you know, not a lot. If you're riding in the city, you can do a lot better than that. But it's not a long range vehicle. You know, it's going to not work for people who have a longer commute that involves highway riding, especially if you don't have a place to plug in and charge up, you know, when you're at work or at school, wherever you're commuting to. But the other part of that, you know, even if you don't have a long commute, you might be somebody like me who likes to just go for longer rides. You like to explore, you like to just cruise around for a while. You're kind of limited in what you can do on that with the Anthem. You know, for example, there's a ride that I really like to do near me that's a loop through the mountains. It's really beautiful. There's a lot of fun curves, but it's, you know, about 45 to 50 miles for the total loop, depending on where I start. And with all the elevation changes and everything and no place to charge back there in the mountains, I can't do it on the Anthem. You know, it's one of my favorite rides ever, but whenever I want to do it, I have to take my gas bike, even though this would be so much fun on those curves, at least until I started running out of battery. The other thing about having a battery-operated motorcycle is that the performance changes as your battery level diminishes. So the Anthem at 100% battery power, totally different bike than the Anthem at, say, 40% battery power. You know, as long as you're above 70%, it feels pretty much the same. You can kind of start to feel it slowly lose some acceleration on the top end. After that, once you get down under 50%, it's a lot slower. Once you get down under, you know, 30%, maybe 20%, you know, you're basically riding a moped, even if you're in sport mode. Now, this and the range thing, like, it's not really something that I can fault Ryvid for. This is going to apply to any electric motorcycles that use lithium battery technology. You know, I don't love lithium-ion batteries. I feel like, you know, once we can kind of get to our next evolution, whether that's solid state or something else, it's going to be a heck of a lot better. But, you know, this is what we have to work with right now. Now, the reason the declining performance as your battery level goes down is kind of rough on a motorcycle is that sometimes you need that acceleration to, you know, get out of the way of danger. Even if you're just like trying to pass and overtake somebody, on a gas motorcycle you learn like how much acceleration you can get out of the bike, you know, at various speeds, at various gears. On the Anthem, you have to kind of learn to gauge that based on the current battery level. And then of course, if you're riding in the winter and in the cold, that's going to affect the performance even more. And so I find that I don't feel as confident with like how much power I have on tap with this at times compared to when I'm riding on a gas bike. You know, and of course it's just, you know, not as fun when you get down to those lower percentages and it just starts feeling slower. It's like, ah, man, you know, this is not as exciting anymore. But you know, as I said, this is not something, a strike against Ryvid. This is going to happen on any electric motorcycle using just our current battery technology. Now, you know, there's motorcycles on the market out there that have longer range, 200 plus miles, that are going to have better performance for longer, but you know, you're going to have to pay $20,000, $30,000 to get a bike like that. Whereas you can walk away with an Anthem for $6,500, you know, that is a pretty compelling deal. And if you live in a city where the range isn't going to be an issue for you, then, you know, highly recommend this bike. Okay, let's see. I really have only one other negative that's not a total nitpick that we can talk about, and that is the adjustable seat. So the Anthem has an adjustable seat, right? You have these levers right over here so you can raise and lower it between 30 and 34 inch standover height, which when I first heard about it, I was like, man, that's such a cool feature. I love it. Didn't work out great on my bike because it would get stuck with the seat all the way down at the lowest position. And, you know, I went back and forth with Ryvid support. They sent me a new actuator and I installed it and the same thing happened. My guess is that there's probably like a little warp in the frame or something that just gives too much resistance at the lowest level, and so it would get stuck. And, you know, eventually I just said, you know, screw it. I don't care if my seat's adjustable. I'm tall. It's always going to be at the max height. So I had a local metal fabrication shop whip me up this solid support to put under here. So mine is just forever locked at the highest position. And we just set off the alarm. It's fairly sensitive. Anyways, mine's just forever locked at the highest position, which works for me. I don't share this bike with anyone. I don't need to be able to adjust it really. And throughout the course of this, I discovered that the seat actuator is actually a part that costs $500, which is quite a bit, you know, and that's the main reason why the outset variant of this bike costs $500 less. It does not have a seat actuator or an adjustable seat. So while it is a cool feature, I'm kind of curious to know, you know, from other owners and potential buyers out there, you know, are you so excited by the adjustable seat that you would pay $500 extra just to have that functionality, or would you rather have it locked in place, save yourself $500? I don't know. You know, and I think I'm kind of a unique case. I've talked to people on Reddit and stuff like that, and I've not heard of anyone else that had my problem with the seat actuator. So I think it does work well for everybody, but you know, that did kind of make me consider, you know, is it worth the extra $500? I don't know. It'll probably depend on your use case and whether or not you're sharing the bike with someone of a different size. Okay, let's see. Other things that I don't love about it. We're really getting into kind of the nitpicky area here. One thing that I don't love is maybe not a strike against the bike, but it's more just like, I live in an apartment. I don't have a garage, right? And so if I want to charge the battery inside, I have to, you know, get it off the bike, lug it up the stairs. It is still really heavy. They do put the wheels on it, but you know, you got to carry it once you get to the stairs, which isn't ideal. And if you lived up, you know, I'm only on the 2nd floor. If you lived up higher than that and didn't have an elevator, that would really suck. But you know, I mean, I guess that's a thing that would apply to pretty much any electric motorcycle, and a lot of them don't have easily removable batteries. This is more just a general warning of like, if you don't have a good place to store and charge it, I want to think about that if you're, you know, looking at buying this bike. What else? The stock mirrors are, you know, kind of meh. They're not great. They don't stick out very far. I haven't swapped them out, but I think a lot of owners do swap out for like bar end ones. But you know, I've just kind of made them work. I don't know. They're not awesome, but they don't bug me enough to change them, obviously. And I also, they have a kind of a unique layout for their controls and stuff that they're using here. And I guess I would love it if it was a little bit more standard motorcycle operation. You know, where the buttons are laid out is a little bit different. You do still have your horn kind of on the bottom here. You can control your lights over here on this side, but this one up at the top here is a reverse gear, which is a little bit different, of course. And then for your turn signals, really, I just wish that you could, like, you know, on most motorcycles, you can press in to cancel it when it's blinking. This one, you just have to move it manually back to the center, which, you know, isn't the end of the world, but there's been more times than I can count where I, you know, look down at some point and I'm like, oh, dang it, my blinker's on. How long has that been on? And I feel like it's a lot easier to avoid with standard motorcycle controls. The only other little nitpick here is for these buttons can get stuck, and it's really only an issue with the reverse gear. But if you press on these buttons kind of at the top here towards the corner, there it's you know, it's kind of hard to see, but it is stuck right on the side right there. And it's easy enough to get it unstuck, but that can be kind of jarring if you're using reverse. You know, you back up, you let go, and then you hit the throttle, start going forward, and then you jolt and go backwards again. Not ideal. This can happen with any of the buttons. You know, I've had it happen with the mode one out here on the side as well, pretty easily, but those ones aren't as, you know, potentially frustrating or dangerous as the reverse one. So probably some room to improve with that. I was hoping maybe after they broke in it would stop happening, but I did it just the other day, so be careful about that. I do also want to call out that the first edition of the official rear rack is not great. It's not very strong. And now this is something that Ryvid has already acknowledged. They sent out kind of a heads up message to people that own it, and then they're working on a 2nd generation of it that's going to be a lot sturdier. But you know, the first one, I mean, you can see kind of on mine how it's bent down. That actually happened. I had a carrying case on the back here, and this actually happened when the case was completely empty, so I was, you know, not really carrying very much weight, way under the 25-pound limit, and I just hit a pretty rough bump and bent this, and I kind of straightened it back out just a little bit. But yeah, so if you are wanting a rack, I don't know if the 2nd generation of it is available yet or not. I haven't checked recently, but definitely wait for that instead of getting the 1st edition. All right, now as part of today's review, we are going to do a range test on the Anthem. Now we are going to do this in sport mode the entire time. I only ever ride the Anthem in sport mode. Part of this is because it's a lot more fun, honestly. I mean, if you have the stock controller like I do instead of the upgraded ASI controller, then, you know, eco mode feels closer to a moped than it does to a motorcycle, especially once you start getting kind of lower down into the battery. But the other reason I do it is I like having the power on tap all the time. A lot of times when I'm riding in sport mode, I'll still ride, you know, pretty efficiently. You know, I'll accelerate fairly slowly, and you know, I'm not speeding around. And so you can get really good range in sport mode if you're doing that, because that's really all eco mode does, is it caps the output so that you can't go too fast. And it also has an always on regen, but anyways. You can still be very efficient in sport mode, but then you have the power on tap when you need it. And when you're riding a motorcycle, sometimes you need to accelerate quickly without much notice or warning. And in those situations, having to be able to switch the mode before you can use the greater acceleration of sport mode, I just don't like that. So we're gonna ride only in sport mode. We're going to accelerate as fast as we can when there is, space to do that. We're gonna stay, within 5 miles plus of whatever the posted speed limit is. I've charted out a route that is a loop of about 15 miles that has a range of speeds. The roads on this route range from 30 miles per hour up to 45, and I think there's one little brief section of 50. So we'll be getting a good, mix of riding speeds on here, but they should reflect, kind of typical city riding without any highway use. And so this is a sort of a kind of a worst case scenario of, if I'm riding this thing fast and fun, like motorcycles are, meant to be ridden, you might say, what kind of range can I get on that? We're not gonna go down under 10% either. It's kind of rough on the battery to run these things out all the way. And once you get down that low, you're gonna be limping home anyways. So yeah, let's jump into it. We're at 99%, so now you can see the acceleration in all of its fully charged glory. down to 19% on the battery, and the Anthem is getting pretty sluggish. Once I get down this low, I generally avoid lane filtering, just because I don't feel confident that I can, beat cars off the light to get out ahead of them. I mean, I'm holding it down full throttle right now, and you can see how slow we're accelerating at. Like there we go. We've just now broken 40. We're slowly creeping up. We probably want, maybe we can get up to 50 now. There we are, down to 18%. We are down to 12% now. So we've got just enough juice to limp back home. And the acceleration's even slower now. I'm gonna get over here and okay, I'm just gonna hit it full throttle. We're crawling our way up to 30. Once you get down to this low, you can, maybe break 40, 45. Now we've only got a few miles left to get back home, so we should be fine to make it there with our remaining 12%. But this is when the contrast between the Anthem or really any electric motorcycle compared to a gas one is really sharp. If I was on my gas bike, I could just pop into the gas station, 5 minutes in and out, back on the road, ready to go. But now I've got to go plug the Anthem in. Plugging it in my house will probably take around 4 hours to charge. It is fast charging capable. You can use it at a charging station, but it's still going to take a while, between 1 and 2 hours probably to fully charge it. So there's, charging. It's the nature of lithium-ion batteries. You've got to be okay with that, and have charging options where you ride, where you may be at your work, at your school. Having a garage is awesome. Access to fast charging stations is definitely a plus. Okay, off the line. Let's see what we can do here. Not a lot. There was 30 miles per hour. So we're keeping pace with traffic. This section of the ride is lower-ish speed limits, so it shouldn't be an issue. We are down to 9% now. Once you get under 10%, the speed gets capped even lower. So I don't know if you can see this speedometer here. We're accelerating very slowly. We're struggling to break 30. Hey, we made it to 31. All right. So yeah, once you're under 10%, you're really in moped mode, more or less. 30 to 35 is about the top speed you can do. It's going to take you a while to get there. So while you can still, get home, you can still squeeze quite a few more miles out of it in this sort of low power mode. It even has a sort of like a reserve. Once you get down to 0%, you can still squeeze out another 5-ish miles, maybe 10 miles at a very low rate of speed. So it is set up so that you hopefully are not getting stranded anywhere, but you do want to be cautious that you're not, you wouldn't want to be at this low of a percentage if you were on, God forbid, the highway or just a higher speed limit road, because you are not going to be able to keep up with traffic, and probably kind of embarrassing to ride in the bike lane. But hey, look, we made it back to where we started. Okay, range test is over. We rode 49 miles and we have 8% remaining on the battery. So, we definitely didn't get up to 75 miles, but still not too shabby. And I was riding pretty fast. You can be in sport mode and still ride a little bit more conservatively. Maybe don't accelerate as fast as you can every time you're going off a stoplight. But I did. It's more fun that way, and I kind of wanted to see, what's my worst case scenario of range if I am riding like that. So for me, in this city, about 50 miles. And if you want to be really range efficient, you can ride it in eco mode, of course, but I would recommend just staying in sport and just going a little more conservative on the throttle. Save the bursts of fast acceleration for when you really need it. If range is important to you, definitely get the ASI controller. And I mean, you should really just get the ASI controller anyways. If you get it when you order your Anthem, it's $200 cheaper, and it's a massive upgrade. You get about a 30% acceleration boost with no significant loss in range. So if you ride a little bit more conservatively, like especially eco mode with the ASI controller, much faster, just much more satisfying. Just get it. It's going to be worth it. Trust me. All right, friends, that is, that's about it for today's long-term review for the Ryvid Anthem. I just want to share some, closing thoughts here. Overall, fantastic bike. I love the bike. I love Ryvid. I think they're an amazing company that's doing really good work. They've built an excellent product, and they're supporting it very well. They've really set a high bar for how they take care of their customers, and their vision for, supporting this long-term instead of just, making it quick and then moving on to other products. Really, really commend them for that. Now this, this bike isn't a great fit for everybody. First and foremost, just be aware of the limitations of an electric motorcycle. You don't have as much range. The performance is going to decline as the battery gets low. It's going to be a lot better if you have a good place at home to store and charge this, like a garage. That's going to be a big deal. Or, if you live in an apartment that has fast chargers that you can take advantage of, that could be a pretty sweet setup as well. If you need to ride, longer than 50 miles in a single trip or day and have commutes that involve a lot of highway, probably not going to be as good of a fit there. I said this before, but this is a fantastic first bike. If you're getting into motorcycles for the first time, you need something good to learn on, you're not really going to find a better one than this. It's easy to ride, it's incredibly safe and well built. You don't have to worry about the clutch and shifting. You can't recommend it enough for first-time motorcyclists. Alrighty, friends, if you have any questions or comments, you can always chime in down in the comment section below and let me know what you think about this review. Now, if you're interested in test riding the Anthem and you live in the northern Colorado area, reach out to me. I'll leave my email down there as well, as I'm a demo rider for Ryvid and be happy to show it off to you. All right, guys, thanks for coming along. Ride safe out there. Catch you in the next one.